Hello.
Hello.
Yes, Kuldeep, can
I'm
you
here.
hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you, Bia. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes. You are properly audible. So, how are you?
I'm fine, Bia. How are you?
Yes, I am fine also.
Okay,
So,
Bia.
we have streamed the live session, or we will be starting at 5?
We will be starting at 5 p.m., Bia.
Right. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So, as of now, we are checking the external factors, etc.
Yes,
Right?
yes, yeah. Any technical issue
Okay.
might be there, so that's why we're checking that.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, wait, wait a minute.
Hello, Kuldeep. Can you hear me?
Yes, Via, I can hear you. So we can start now.
Yeah,
So
sure.
I will, yeah. So I welcome you all on behalf of Girl Script Foundation. I'm Kuldeep Srivastav. Today's host. Today we have with us Mr. Abhishek Bachchan. He is a CAT topper. He secured 99.68 percentile in CAT examination, and currently he is pursuing his MBA from Salesh J. Mehta School of Management, IIT Bombay. And he is a startup enthusiastic, and he's such a wonderful person. After listening him, you will get to know about him. And on this note, I will request Mr. Abhishek to please introduce yourself. We want to know about a brief journey from your schooling to now Salesh J. Mehta School of Management. What sort of struggles you have faced, and what were your achievements, ups and downs? We want to know all of them. Yeah.
Okay. Sure, Kuldeep. So, first of all, thank you so much for such a wonderful introduction about me. So, and a great welcome to the wonderful audience also. So, please just take me as your friend only. So, I'm not
Yeah.
don't regard me as your sir, etc. So, I'm just 2019 passed out. So, just take me as a friend. So, it will also loosen a pressure from me because this is the first time I'm doing a session. So,
Yeah.
yes, so talking about it. So, I was born and brought up in a very vernacular background, born and brought up in a Jhalawar city, which is basically situated in Rajasthan. So I come from a background where the number of English medium schools you can easily count on your fingers. So from such a background, I moved on. So I did my schooling from Kendriya Vidyalaya School in Jhalawad only. And talking about my behavioral aspect, so I was always involved into various extracurricular activities, and I was a kind of a person who always wanted to come first in any activity that I am part of. So that any
Yeah.
activity that I was involved into. So initially it was not like that from my birth I was good into. So initially I wasn't good. I wasn't that much good into academics, etc. But from fifth to sixth class, I get a zeal from my inside that yes, I want to come first. So I started taking part in all the academic activities, be it many quizzes, the competition, academic competition, as well as the extracurricular competition. So in my sixth class also, I was selected for the state level science exhibition, and post that, so then this was my preschool experiences. Then I moved to Kota, Rajasthan, which was situated some 100 to 200 kilometers from my area. Then for the IIT JEE coaching. So I was a school topper in my previous school. So I was confident, like I would go in the IIT, I would go into Kota, and I will excel there also. But I faced it was obvious thing that I faced a struggle because the bright students from all over the country used to come there. So that was a tough part about that was a tough part for this experience. But I started getting interest, and definitely it was hard for me, but I started putting in more effort. So I also cleared the NTSC for that, the National Talent Search examination. And after that, I also cleared the first round of KVPY, which is Kishore Vaigyanik Protsahan Yojana, KVPY fellowship. So
Yeah.
then there, so everything was going like I decided in my life, and like I prepared for myself. But then there comes the adolescence stage, so in the teenage stage. So when the class 11th and 12th came, so I got distracted. So this is the first time I'm talking something about this in an official, or I would say formal platform. So I got distracted. I started putting many hours to my mobile, etc. And so my focus from studies got shifted to mobile, etc. things. So was much distracted about things. So then I cleared JEE mains with the 243 marks, and I also between JEE mains and JEE advanced there is a period of some 1.5 months. So in that 1.5 months, I was so distracted that I didn't study much in that 1.5 crucial 1.5 months also. So at my coaching, which was resonance, I used to come between 100 to 200 ranks. Then my rank was getting lowered also. So then I cleared the JEE Advanced with the rank of 2683, and I got a branch of electrical engineering in IIT BHU. But because all my friends from the very starting was very toppers, and they all got computer science engineering and various top IITs, so I was very disappointed with the fact, and I wanted to take a retake. But because because my parents were not my parents were apprehensive about it, because they have seen my destruction journey and my downward cut in the bell curve. So I didn't fill up the counseling form, etc., because of these things. Then I searched for the colleges which were good into computer science and engineering, and there was lovely professional university that I found on the internet. So I wasn't known about the college at first so much, and I also got to hear about many rumors about the college, like this is a tier 3 college and this is a private college, etc. So I joined there, and when I joined there, I also found that initially, I'm talking about initial things, that I found that many friends which were studying, which were my batchmate at lovely professional university LPU. So they were having quite a less number in JEE Mains, and there were many students who have not even cleared the JEE Mains or JEE Advanced exam. So initially, at my starting journey, I started to feel like why I have come to this place, and what I have done with my life. So I got into very much depression phase. There was a very mental depression, etc., things that has happened to me. But initially, gradually, when I started knowing them, so that all the persons were good at something or another. It's not like that any person would have to be just excellent in physics, chemistry, or maths only. Then only a person would be champ, or etc. So then there was a thing that I have missed IITs. So because of my I have missed IITs even after clearing the examination also. So I had always in me that I wanted to go to IIMs, and it was not because that I just because of the one examination. Since from my starting, so when I cleared many state level competitions, etc. So many times I was used to get appreciated by people, and they once a general manager of KPMG called me that you should be into IIMs. And at that time in 11th class, I didn't knew about anything about IIMs. So I explored the things about IIMs, like what are these IIMs are, what are the competitive exams that is basically involved for the IIMs, etc. Then I started preparing about CAT, etc. And throughout my journey, I always have in me that I go very structurally in my manner. So I started to first to learn about what's the life after IIMs, because many times what we do is we just rush towards the exam, like what's the syllabus, what's the eligibility, etc. We don't try to explore about the life after that. If we are actually interested about the life living post that or not. So I started exploring about CAT, etc. Then in my first attempt, I scored 99.68 percentile, and in 2018. But unfortunately, I didn't clear the sectional cutoff of verbal part. So there are 3 parts in CAT examination. So I didn't clear the verbal part. So I was enrolled into Times coaching, which was in Time Jalandhar. I didn't go much. I didn't go frequently to the coaching because I was confident about my preparation. But they put my banners on their coaching. They put my banners on the coaching, etc. Everything.
Yeah, I've seen
But
that. Yeah.
yes. But the only thing was that this was only me who used to know that because I didn't clear the verbal part, even after securing 99.68 percentile, I wasn't going to get a call from top IIMs because of the criteria. So I was also very disappointed that despite this much hard work and the mental depression that I faced through the 4 years of my college life, but I started again with my preparation and worked on my verbal part, etc. Because I come from a vernacular background, so I always had a very low confidence in my English, etc. But then I started working on that part, and then cleared the CAT again, and then I got a call from many old IIMs also, like IIM Kozhikode, IIM Indore, and many other top B schools like NITI Mumbai, all the new IIMs and all the baby IIMs, etc. Then I chose SJSOM IIT Bombay, the legacy of SJSOM IIT Bombay. And recently I am also being placed into PNG, Procter and Gamble. So when I stepped into IIT Bombay, I was also being very dubious about the fact, because I was under the impression that in IIT Bombay, all the students were from NITs and IITs, and how I am going to compete with them. Then come the placement process. So how the placement goes in IITs are like, it goes in a downward speculation, where the top companies come first, and when you are placed in one company, you are not allowed to sit in second. So when the first most company that came to our campus was Procter and Gamble, so I sat in the interview, and only 12 people from the whole batch of 115 people were being selected for the first round, after first round. And from 10, and out of the 12 people, four students were basically the professional soft skill trainer as well. So I was very apprehensive about the part, like how I'm going to compete with them. So I was very confident. If I talk about the confidence, I was very low on the confidence part. But then I gave my best, and then I got to know that it's not just the English or communication that matters. And I also, from the whole 12 people, also only the first four people got selected. So fortunately, I was one among them. So I got internship in recently in Procter and Gamble as a production manager. Yeah, so this was a brief about me in a very detailed manner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this was such a great journey. So, this was your all journey from schooling to now MSOM. We
Yes,
just
yes.
want to know briefly about your engineering journey, like what kind of students you were, and those 4 years, how you have spent those 4 years. Like you were involved in extracurricular activities also, or you were like just a studious guy, like you were just focused on the academic part, that is the GPA. So we just want to know about this also.
Okay, okay, sure. So when you just speak the question, like what kind of a student you were in engineering. So when I just hear this word engineering, all the glimpses and the memories just came in front of me. So I was famous for my attendance. Like in the last day of the curriculum, last lecture, I used to get my 75%. So my calculation was just like that. That on the last lecture, my attendance goes to 75%. So from my starting, I have always been a kind of a guy, like whenever it's a kind of opportunity, I will put my 100%. Whenever there will be, you need to have fun, so I will put my 100% in that thing also. So I wasn't a studious guy or no studious guy, etc. I was also, like in my university LPU, there was a thing like all the 9+ CGPA holders were used to put in some focus group, etc. So there were some 50 to 100 odd students in focus group. So when I went to the focus group, I was very annihilated of the fact. Why? Because I found that all the students in focus group were very studious. Like if they used to joke also, so they started joking in some academic manner. So I also filed a request for change my batch. So yes, so like I was a guy who was dedicated toward what I was trying to achieve. Like I wanted to go to IIMS, and I knew the fact, like in the starting I was also being told by many friends and seniors, etc., like take part in many extracurricular activities, then only you will be getting campus placement, etc. But from the starting only, I was sure that I'm not going to opt for the placement, and why I wanted to go for the higher studies, etc. So I didn't opt for the placement in there. And talking about the 4 years of journey, so definitely, as we are engineers, so many subjects I used to study just the last night or maybe the penultimate night, and study the things and right there. So yes, I focused more on the application based part of it. Like from the very starting, I was under the fact that I want to explore the things. So I used to read about many technologies, all the emerging technologies like your AI, ML, big data, IoT, etc. So I used to explore all the things, but and I ensured that I just get good marks in the subjects which are not based on very application or practical part. I wanted to learn and then encapsulate that something. So this was some brief of my engineering.
Yeah. So, the next question is, we want to know when you started thinking about this CAT examination, like where you come after clearing IIT JEE, and I think you would have thought about these placements and all. So when this CAT exam idea is stuck in your mind, and when you actually started preparing for that, like when you started implementing this idea into action. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So actually, when I stepped into engineering college, so I started to explore about the various thing in engineering only, like computer science, the various fields. Like I started exploring about what's networking, what's coding, etc. So because from my initial part only, I was very good in mathematics because mathematics was this subject was something which used to fascinate me. So I used to spend 80 to 90% of all my time in mathematics only, even whether it was being part of my syllabus or not part of syllabus. So so when I explored about coding, etc. So in the initial turn, I got very motivated and fascinated about the coding part. But then I explored about the life after that, like what kind of a life I want to live after that. So the various teams that I have lived in my that I have led in my childhood or school journey, the various and like I have always been a kind of a person who like to solve the real world problems, be it social problem, be it technical problem, etc. So I wanted to lead a team. Then I started watching about many YouTube videos of many corporate leaders, etc. Then the life that was in the corporate was very dynamic, like the life that we live after engineering, etc. So many times it used to happen that there is very regular schedule that we follow, like we have to code, etc. But when we talk about the corporate, so even your minute decision can make a great impact on the as a global as well. So then I explored about, so cat was not my focus. I wanted to first find out like what is the thing that I want to do after my education, what is the thing that I want to do in my life. So then comes the thing that I want to lead, I want to become a leader, etc. in the corporate field. Then I found is that yes, cat is something that I should try upon. Then I explored about cat, that there's three sections, and two sections of the cat are which I'm already comfortable with, the quantitative aptitude section and the logical reasoning section. So the mostly, so I started preparing, so I started knowing about the things of cat in my second year only, but formally I started preparation from my third year only, and in the second attempt I got cleared my cat examination.
Yeah. So, as you said that you started your CAT preparation from your third year, like formally you have started from
Yes,
third
yes.
year. So much CAs are there, and midterm, end term. So, how you have managed like your CAT preparation with these components of examination? Like you have such a good CGP also. That's wondering because you started preparing. So, we just want to know that how you have managed both things. As we say that if we start preparing for any competitive exam, then we should forget about CGPA. But you managed both things, like CGPA also, and you cleared this in such a young attempt. So we just want to know that how you have managed your time.
Yes, yes. So, like I already said, like first, whenever you are targeting any exam, so first you need to explore the things about it. But why I'm saying that is like, for example, if you take the example of CAT examination, so you will see that lakhs of students rush for the CAT examination without knowing a thing about CAT. They would not even open the site of IIMs, like what companies are visiting IIMs, what are the specializations that would offer. They are just running towards that examination, like that we will be clearing this examination and we will be getting a good placement. So this is and we are spending we are and you just think that what kind of a foolish idea is this, that we are spending lakhs of rupees for something, like the average fees of IIMs are 20 lakhs for the top IIMs. So you will be
Yeah.
spending 20 lakhs and you have not even opened the website of IIM Ahmedabad and say seen the placement records or what is the actually the industry demands for it. So, talking about the hectic schedule that you are talking about. So once you are well explored, then comes your part, I will explain this with a very interactive example, which I just came in my mind. So let's say that let's say yes, okay. Okay, so let's say this glass of water is with me, right? So let's say this glass is a stone, and I have a hammer with me. So if I need to break this stone with a hammer, then there can be two ways. The first way can be I struck it randomly on some distinct points, somewhere here, first point, second point. So there's a very fine, there's a very less chance probability that that stone will be break by my hammer. But if I pick a specific point on the stone and I hammer it continuously there, then there's a very great possibility that I will be able to break the stone. So what I'm trying to make you focus here is that stone is our burden or the obstacle that we are trying to break, which can be our exam or any situation in our life. That hammer that we are talking about is our hard work. So you are putting your hard work, and the point that you are choosing and making the strikes is your direction. So when you will be hitting the target, you will be hitting it, but you will be hitting it another directions in many random directions. So you are putting your hard work, but you are not choosing the direction well. So your hard work should be aligned with your direction. Then only the stone or the obstacle will break. So if I talk about the exam, so talking further about it, so I was very good about how to manage times and things. Like you don't have to. There is a vast thing of syllabus, so you don't have to cover each and everything. The best way is to first find out what the examination test you for it. For example, if I talk about the verbal part of my for verbal part of CAT examination, so they don't test you completely on the reading comprehension part that the kind of reading comprehension that we see in the school examination. They just test you that whether you are able to analyze what the author is trying to convey to you. So if you are well combined with that, you don't have to worry about vocabulary, etc. So let's take an example that there are two guys. One guy will read vocabulary. You will buy the 5,000 word Norman Lewis book for vocabulary, and will start doing 2 hours, 4 hours daily on the vocabulary part. Then he will go to know that there is no vocabulary questions precisely which is asked in the CAT examination, and not even indirectly also. So you will be wasting your time. So during my engineering also, I was very selective in my merit. Like I used to prioritize. Like there were many times when there were CAs and I had something more important schedule. So I used to bunk all my CAs. Like there were two CAs and I used to bunk all the two CAs because because I was best 2 out of 3, because I was knowing the fact like in the last 2 years I will work hard for that, but at this point of time this should be my priority. So while you are reading anything by any subject, etc., so first you need to find out like what's the important thing into it and what is required, rather than just going randomly and reading everything out of it. So just focus upon what is required, and do manage your times. Like many times we try to analyze like how we are spending our hours in a day. Like many times we won't think, but we are spending many hours into social media, etc. So we can utilize that time. I'm not saying that don't use social media, etc., but have your time for leisure activities, some time fixed for your friends, etc., as less than maybe as minimum as 15 minutes or 20 minutes also, so that you are not missing out on any opportunity. If you will just study and putting all your efforts on the exam, etc., so ultimately we are human and we will be get tired of something, and we will not be able to perform up to best of our capabilities. So have time for all the activities, manage time, rather than having 2 hours or 3 hours for a leisure time. Keep it short, but keep it regular, so that you don't miss out on everything.
So the next question is about importance of CGPA, like how this CGPA is associated with after BTech journey. Like if we are going for any competitive exam or something like that. So how this CGPA is associated with that, and how much CGPA is important? This is a big question. Everyone is asking.
Yeah.
Like our seniors are saying that 7 is important. Like you will get to sit in every companies around. But according to you, what is your view on that?
Okay, sure. So I will say that, like if I talk about the example of my batch, so the person who had highest CGPA in my curriculum, and the person who was having an average CGPA. So right now, the average CGPA guy is ahead of the first guy who was having the highest CGPA. So if by saying that, I am not saying that I am undermining the importance of CGPA. What matters is what your aim is for. What is your future aim? For example, my future aim was to convert a seat into IIM. Then because of that thing, I was knowing the fact that in IIMs there was a huge weightage given for the graduation part also. IIM is not
Yeah,
an
yeah,
CAT is not an exam where you will just sit in a CAT and ace the CAT and you will be sitting into IIMs. They will judge you on the 10th, 12th, graduation, your work profile, all the parts, etc. Then a cumulative score will be formed. So I was knowing the fact. Now talking about how much CGPA is important. So this is a very subjective thing and would differ from a person to person. But I would say that if you know your future goals, like if a person is so sure that he would be sitting into placements in a campus placements only and would be moving further towards the technical field only. So then keep up a CGPA, check the company list, like what's the minimum cutoff for the various companies, like if it's 7 CGPA or 7.5 CGPA. So take a buffer of zero point 0.5 CGPA, etc. Like try to maintain 8 CGPA. If like the companies that you are trying to target should have a minimum CGPA of 7.5, so let's target for minimum 8 CGPA, because what we target and what we get, so many times there comes a great discrepancy between them. So to take a buffer, try to have a zero point 0.5 CGPA margin of that. So this should be your goal. And talking about in many competition, many competitive exams, etc., there is not much role of CGPA as compared to CAT, etc. Like in CAT, they literally calculate the CGPA and take it as a weightage. But in many other examination, if I talk about like GATE examination or various government examination like bank, PO, SSC, CGL, etc., so CGPA is not that much important. Like you just need to have a minimum cutoff for CGPA. So don't just lose all your focus from the academic part or etc. Have a kind of a CGPA which should be manageable to you, and that should be enough.
yeah. So next question is a bit important. Like when we start preparing for any examination, so we go into process. So in between that we start doubting on ourselves. Like would I be able to do that or not? So have you ever doubted on yourself, like this problem if you have faced, and how you have tackled? So we just want to know.
Yes. Yes, sorry. So I will say yes, definitely. I also doubted on myself many parts. But talking about myself, like I also had many friends also who were involved into preparing for some exams. So I also know the many persons who had much potential in them, but the only thing they were lacking is confidence part. So first I will try to encapsulate my example, then I will reach out to the examples of my other friends and colleagues also. So if I talk about myself, so I always have this confidence that if there's one seat, and so I will put all my efforts. Whatever will happen after putting my efforts will be seen afterwards. Let's put my efforts, then we'll see that what will happen. Because whenever you are trying to when you are trying to focus something big, then it's an obvious thing that if it's a big thing, it's a big opportunity, then many persons will be competing for that examination or for any opportunity. So definitely, and now there's two things. First thing is your skills and there your will. So I will give an example. So because of just saying skill and will, I got an example of Muhammad Ali. So in an interview, it was asked from Muhammad Ali that you had such a wonderful time, like you have won many boards, etc. So you must have been lucky. So he said that there's no lucky in my dictionary. There's two things, that skill and will. So when he was fighting his last bout with a world champion, so he said that when the opponent punched him and he fell on the ground, then he said my skill was over, because whatever he has practiced in his time, etc., the skill was completely over. It was his willpower. It was his willpower that make him stood, because during the practice also he was telling himself that he is a champion, and because of that willpower he stood and actually defeated that person also. So first thing is that whatever your current skill level be, it can be improved. But if you do not have willpower, and if you do not have willpower, then you will start doubting on yourself, and it will actually restrict you from putting your 100%. So I also started doubting on myself many parts. Like in my sort of introduction, I told you that initially when I will tell you a very interesting example, which is very intimidating to me also. Like when I stepped into LPU, because I used to belong from a vernacular background, so I used to pronounce cat as cat. So many people used to confuse, like he is talking about cat or he is talking about get. He's talking about get. So from that field, I was also dubious about my communication skills, etc. Like I told you in my starting in my introduction, like when I stepped into the MBA in SJSM IIT Bombay. So most of the persons, like 80 to 90 people, were already having 2 to 2.5 work experience, 2 to 2.5 year work experience, and they were completely excelling in their communication skills. So I was quite depressed about the fact, like how I would be going to compete with them. So it's just that you need to accept, like this is the thing that you need to work upon. People have worked in the past, and by given the dedication, efforts, etc., you could also be doing that. So you just need to accept the fact, yes, this is the problem. Then make a schedule, make a proper top bottom or bottom to up procedure, like how you are going to improve upon that, how are you going to make an improvisation upon them, and then take regular reviews and feedbacks about them, and start facing your fear. Because if I talk about, when you also ask about, for example, this webinar, like Bhaiya, will you speak in the webinar also? So in the starting, I know that my communication skills are not that good, but but I thought that yes, this is the time that I should work upon, and I should face my fear. So when you will face your fear, start facing your fear, then you will work upon that, like what is required, and in the constant process, then you will definitely be overcoming it.
Yeah. So the next question is, you were having such a good CGPA, so why you have not gone for GATE? Like why you have not thought for GATE examination?
Okay, sure. So yes, like frequent thing or regular thing with at C is that mostly engineers go for GET rather than for
Yeah,
CAT.
yeah,
So it's very so first, as already taught, like as I have already told that I explored about the various things, like what is the thing that I want to achieve in my life. So I found out that what is the quality in me. So like I was very good with numbers, like my quantitative part was very strong. Then I started finding out that from that numbers I can make business strategies also. Like I was very good in making strategies throughout my career. So I worked upon that. So from starting, when I explored about things, then it was obvious to me that rather than going from a core technical field, I can use my technical knowledge as well in the business perspective to prosper in my career also. Because many a times, and yes, I also want to make a point here that we have heard in many movies, etc., also that you have chosen one thing, like in Three Idiots, like you have gone for engineering, then you have gone for bank or maybe something.
yeah,
So we also take it in a light humor and we make things about it. But the thing here is, if I give you an example about COVID, like the corona case here. So many companies, many big corporate companies were having much planned things about various other things. But when the pandemic actually occurs, only those companies survived which were dynamic in them. So because there was a widespread disruption have been faced, so only those companies survived which was dynamic in their approach. So what is needed is that you are being dynamic, because when you join a course, you have thought something. Now during that course you will evolve and find out your something, like this is my interest area. Then also, like at this point of time, my interest area lies in startups and the corporate field. There is also a possibility that during my evolution, I will explore about many things, I will gain new things, then maybe my perception would change, and that is a very natural thing, and that should happen actually. So there's no negative about thing if you will change your career or career field from one thing to another. You have to be dynamic in them. So yes, so this is one thing.
Yeah. So as this session is all about the government examination introduction, so we just
Yes.
want to know that what are those government examination which we can take up? Like I'm talking about engineering students, so which we
Yes.
can take up after our graduation. Yeah.
Okay. So like there are, you would see that there are plethora of government examination. If I talk about from maybe thousands of government examinations are there. So I will talk about some key government examination. So I will divide the things into, let's say, the government examination which are specifically for engineers, and in that also for the examinations which are specifically for engineers. Also, there are two kinds of categories. Most of the examinations are for specializations other than computer science and engineering. There are lesser posts for computer science and engineering and more posts for other core fields. Then there are examinations which are open for all, like UPSC, SSC, CGL, and Bank Q, etc., where everyone with a graduation degree can apply. So if I talk about we have also talked a lot about GET examination. So the first examination that came to my mind is GET examination. So GET examination opens the door to various other opportunities. Like you can directly go for the PSU jobs interviews. PSUs, if I talk about, there are various opportunities in Bharat Heavy Electrical Limited, BHEL, Gas Authority of India Limited, Indian Oil Corporation, etc. There are various many PSUs, Maharatna and Maharatna PSUs, etc. And if you want to also go to higher studies, etc., then there's also, and if you want a fellowship, etc., then also you can go for there. So these are the things which opens the door from your GET examination, where there's an we know that there's an examination, then there's your preliminary round of interviews, etc. So some IITs or some institutions conduct interviews, or many IITs, etc., also take you on just on the basis of GET score also. So apart from GET, if I talk about, there are various other organizations and PSUs, etc., also that conduct their own examination. Like there is also separate examination for BHEL, that's BHEL Engineer Training, the Bharat Heavy Electrical Training. There's examination and seats for Food Corporation of India for junior engineers. There's seats in DMRC, which is the metros. There's also examination of ISRO scientist engineer, the Airport Authority of India, if I talk about, and the examination of state PSC exams, state public service commissions, where there are specific field for technical service examination. So when I'm talking all these things, these are the exams which are specifically prescribed for engineers only. Non-engineers are not allowed in these exams, like the technical service examinations of state public service commission, etc. So these exams are focused on civil engineering, mechanical, electrical, and electronics engineering. So these are the exams which encapsulate the engineers apart from computer science. Now, like I am a computer science engineer, so there are very few opportunities in government sector, but there are two key opportunities that I am aware of. So there's scientific and technical assistant, which is grade B recruitment in NIELIT, which is National Institute of Electronics and IT. So IT information technology, and there's also a vacancy in Niti Aayog also, which is young Indian professional and it's basically a contractual job for 2 years. And many people would be apprehensive about like they should be going for a contractual job or not. So when you will read about gig economy, like the future time that if we talk about, so all the eminent corporate leaders will say that the times that we are ahead of will be having the gig economy that will work upon the contract basis. So you shouldn't be apprehensive about that. Now, if I talk about the various common exams which are open for all the fields, so like your UPSC examination is there, we all aware about UPSC examination, and in the UPSC examination there are various other subcategories, like your state other categories, like your UPSC forest examination is there, your
Yeah,
IS
23
examination.
services are total there. Yeah.
Yes, 23, yes. So yeah, I know you are quite aspirant of UPSC also, so you must be
Yeah.
knowing more than me. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. So then there's RBI Grade B examination also, so which is one of the most coveted exam. If I say that one of the most coveted exam in our whole Indian education system. Then after RBI Grade B, there's many exams related to your banking and insurance sectors. Like in your banking sectors, there are examinations like IBPS PO, probationary officer. Then your SBI PO and various other banks also recruit from the IMS etc. Also. Then in the field of insurance etc., there are many examinations like Life Insurance Corporation and AO, LIC AO examination, etc.
Yeah.
There's SSC CGL examination, etc. So there are hell lot of opportunities. So now the thing is that if you will see that the major syllabus of most of the examinations are similar. I will not say same, but similar. Like some examination will be given high weightage on the current affairs, the dynamic part of current affairs rather than static GK, and some would be giving more weightage on the static part of GK. For example, the state PSCs, if I talk about the in our Rajasthan also. So in Rajasthan PSCs also, so they give a more weightage to your static part of GK. And if I talk about the central like UPSC, so they give the more weightage on the current affairs, which is the more dynamic part of it. So you need to be well aware about what that exam is requiring from you, and then only if you will be cleared about what that exam will be requiring from you, then only you will be able to forward yourself in a very proper structured manner. And by doing this, you will be performing a smart work, and you will be taking less time for that competitive exam also. Yeah. So these were the government exams that I am aware of.
Yeah. So thank you for this information. And the next question is related to that. It is said that if we are aiming something big, so we should have any backup plan. And as we know that if we are like preparing for CAT examination or UPSC examination, so these are such a long journey. For this examination, it might take 2 to 3 years also. So how we should keep ourselves motivated? I just want to know that what was your motivating factor? Like what kept you motivated these 4 years and you cleared this examination in very first attempt?
Yes, yes, sure. So, you talk about CAT examination also. So, I have known peers who have cleared CAT in by doing just 3 months preparation. Like they were already good in like what the CAT test you is the basic aptitude and the basic English part. Like if you are very good from your in English from your starting days, you read about various genres of like you are reading psychology, philosophy, environmental, from economics to your history also. So if you are very good avid reader, then you will not be facing much difficulty in CAT etc. So I have known guy who have cleared CAT in 3 months, and I have also known guy who are trying from 4 years to 5 years and still not acing the CAT. So if I tell about what's the motivating factor etc. So my motivation factor was, and yeah, first of all, sorry, I skipped the question of backup plan. So as you talk about backup plan now, it's a double-edged sword. Like you should be having it, but if you would be focusing it on much more, then you will not be justifying with both the things. Why I'm saying that is like if a person has already having a well set up business in his home etc, and he would be if he would be focusing upon that business, then he would not be giving his 100% on the other part in the exams etc. Why? Because he has a backup plan like यार कुछ नहीं हुआ एग्जाम तो चलो घर का बिजनेस
Yeah.
संभाल लेंगे, so we will be doing that. So it's a double-edged sword. Like it's good to have a backup plan. Like when you are not like there's a famous proverb that don't keep all your eggs in one basket. So it's a good to have a backup plan, but you should be rational and you should be mature enough to understand that it's a double-edged sword. And while you are focusing on something, give your 100%, but don't keep up. don't keep thinking about your backup plan all the time. Give your 100%, but to be matured enough also, like to understand like this is the time you have given all your things, etc. So you don't have to just keep trying and trying, like many people many people try to keep try to attempt the exam for 5 years, 6 years by sitting at home alone, and they deteriorate their physical as well as their mental state also. So don't be very choosy with the things, many much more touchy with the things. Be rational. Be think like yes, this is the time now. I should move on and try something different. So yes, this is.
Yeah. So now we can have a look upon the comment section. The people are asking, like, one person is asking that what are your suggestion for improving our personality development? So you would like to answer on this.
Okay, sure. So, like, if I talk about now, so the answer will be very much different. Why? Because we have moved from an offline medium to almost completely an online medium. So, if I talk about the personality development, so there are various aspects of it. Like, first would be your communication part, your skills, how you present the things, and your confidence also, your practice also. So, I would be dividing it into two things. The first thing would be your things that you can work upon, would be your internal skills, etc. So that would come by practice, by taking the part in it. Like for example, if I talk about personality development, so first you will need to focus upon your communication part, etc. So by communication, like you can't ride a bike by just reading about the various dynamics of it, or ride various theories about it. You just need, you will have to start a bike, and then take a tour with the bike. Then only you will be able to learn the bike. So first, try to face your fear and start taking the part in it. Maybe if you're not competition, if you are not that confident to take part in competitions, then start talking with some mentors or maybe friends. Like many a time, from my example also, I was very reluctant to talk in English with our friends. We can't just talk about with English with our friends. So
Yeah.
try to make some communities, like you can join Toastmasters club, you can join British community also. There are various things you can take part in MUNs, etc. So work upon that thing, communication part. When the communication part is sorted, then try to incorporate many vocabulary something. Try to have a rich vocabulary with you, so that you would be facing difficulties with them. And very much, and first thing is very crucial thing is reading. Many times we undermine the reading thing, and we just focus upon writing or maybe oration. Reading is something that we learn the most from it, but our generation is just because I was also undermining the reading at my point of time. But reading from various genres from different parts will actually help you build a wider perspective. Like being an engineer, what we do is we always try to see the things from engineering manner, like how we will solve the problem from IT. But we
Yeah.
neglected the fact that how this problem, like we will solve the problem using IT, but is it feasible using a business? Like you will invest technology there. Like many times I have attended as a participant as well as a jury member of many hackathons. So what I see is many engineering students come with a model that we will be using cameras to see the activities of a plant. So you can't spend 15,000, 20,000 camera and the whole setup for a single plant. So by economical perspective, that is not feasible. So you need to take up about the various feasibility aspects about your is it feasible economically, business wise, it is feasible environmentally or not, something like that. So this is the thing. So try to work upon your try to work upon your concept parts. Try to make a community. There are many people who are very dedicated towards it, who also want to learn the things, who also want to develop the personality, and when you will try to actually talk with yourself, like how could you have said this thing, how could have you have presented this thing, like I just thought spontaneously about that idea, like I will pick a stone and I will hammer it and something like this.
Yeah.
So you need to be dynamic about something, and it's not this thing that it will come from a very first day. for very first day from you. It will take time when you will start practicing it, and will be opening yourself. Then this thing will come to your mind, and you will be having many real life example at this point of time, at the dynamic point of time.
Yeah. One more question from comment section, that is there any website where we can check the upcoming exams information?
Yeah, like there are various websites that are available. Like if you will just Google it, you will find it. Like there's testbook.com, there's testbook.com, there's gradeup.com. Gradeup website is there, and there are study IQs there, etc. So these are the websites who are mostly oriented for one thing or another. But and there's another community, Pagal Guy. So this is a very, I would say, very old website. So which is a forum for the student community also. So you can also check out the pagalguy.com. So the name would be interesting here, that if someone have not heard it before, but this is a very good community. So try to, if you will just Google something, you will find everything about it. So try to explore things about it, and you will be finding. But yes, your textbook and GradeUp are two things that will be incorporating most of the things about the examinations.
Yeah. Last 2 to 3 questions we would love to ask to you. So another
Sure.
question is how much you were involved in extracurricular activities in your engineering?
Yeah, okay. So I wasn't much involved into extracurricular activities. Like I in the starting, I started taking part in most of the events, volunteering, etc. But then when I started taking the part, etc., then I found that is it something that is creating value for me? Like I am putting my 5 hours or 6 hours in something in an event, etc., but it is not adding much value to me. So I started segregating, like what are the things that would be adding value to me. So rather than going for random events just because my friend or my known would be going there, I started taking part on only those events or organizations which was adding value to me and which were aligned to the future goals of me. Like I joined many online forums for like the Pagal guy I'm talking about, and many online forms also, like iQuanta, etc. So these were the things.
Yeah. So last one question, that is like we are students, we are preparing for competitive examination, or many students are thinking for placements. But apart from that, what kind of person we should, like what kind of a person, as a person, we should evolve, like on this
Okay.
aspect we would like to know. Yeah.
Okay, okay, sure, sure. So, like, if I talk about placement, so what happens is the only thing that, when we are reaching to the final year or the maybe the second half of third year, so the only thing that rotates in our mind is placement. So we forgot the thing that if we will work in a specific manner, in a structured manner, and we will be developing the various strategies for that, we're learning the various concepts for it, then the success or maybe the selection would be the byproduct of your journey only. So, what kind of a person you will be? So, I will be talking about from the perspective of from socially and as well as personal manner. So, like I have not discussed about my venture as of now. So, like socially, also you should be very responsible about something. Like because I have a person who have come from vernacular background, etc. Right. So, it's our responsibility that we use our skills, etc. To train those who are not very fortunate to have received these things, etc. So like I along with one of my friend Mahesh Kumar Prajapat, we founded a startup, All Fortune Private Limited. So what we
Yeah.
actually do, we are so soon we will be deploying the MVP in the market. So what we are doing, what we are going to do there is that any person who are skilled in any manner, like any manner, maybe academic skills or non-academic skills, like we students are there. So if we want to invest in any social course, etc., so we don't have much because we are not financially independent as of now. So we can't help them monetarily. But we have the skills to train orphans. Orphans are like we know orphans are kids who have lost both their parents, right? So we have the skills that we can train them. So any person living in the country would be able to reach to the nearby orphanage and would be devoting just 2 hours per month, and would be making them learn any skill, be it academic skill or non-academic skill. Anyone who is good in mathematics will go to the nearby orphanage and will make them study mathematics. Anyone who would be a very good painter, very good dancer, maybe singer, etc., any extracurricular activity, they will teach the offer. So you should be very socially aware also, that there's your social responsibility also comes into play. And if I talk about your intrapersonal skills, so you should be someone who should be balancing both your personal life as well as professional life. You shouldn't be the guy who would be just focusing upon your study and your things, etc. Yes, there will be sacrifices that you will have to make, but you also need to enjoy your personal life also. You will also need to have some gedia with your friends, etc. also, because that is also very important. Like after my 4 year of engineering, if I am sitting here and if I think about my engineering life, so I won't be thinking about the compiler design subject that I have studied or operating system, etc. I would be remembering the various fun moments that I have planned, the classes that I have bunked many times, the miseries that have happened in the hostels, etc. So try to have a balance with them. Don't just focus upon one thing or another, but have a balance with them in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at last, what would you like to say to the students? Like, what kind of suggestion you would like to give us?
Okay, sure. So, like, I will say that first I will put up my link, etc. So they can also contact me if they find any problem, etc. Taking me as a friend only. I will just say that be focused in your life about what you are trying to achieve. Because many times what happens is we actually waste our time in something or other, and we don't actually recognize that we are missing out on something. Then it creates regrets, etc. So what kind of a life we are aspiring for? Like if we want to achieve something, we don't want to set up something for low. So try to put your efforts in the direction that you are trying to achieve, and have a confidence on yourself, and try to have your surrounding with the persons who actually motivate you for something from doing that. Whenever you will be trying to do something good, then there will be persons who will be actually will restrict you from doing that. So have a community of positive people with you who are like minded, and then work accordingly. And like I will also be sharing some links with the Kuldeep. So I have many materials, etc. So if any person, any student or friend would be wanting that material, etc., so I would be sharing with you, so you can
Yeah,
also
of
share with
course.
them. Yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much for this lovely session, and we are going to get a lot of things after that. So thank you so much for taking your time
Yes,
for
yes.
us.
Yes, yes. Thanks a lot, Kuldeep. And thank you so much for the audience for keeping listening. Yes.